My name is Elena Martinez, and I'm 29 years old. One week before my younger sister's elaborate destination, wedding in Cabo San Lucas, I discovered that my parents had secretly assigned me to babysit 12 children during the entire ceremony and reception. Not asked me, not discussed it with me, just decided among themselves that I would miss my own sister's wedding to watch other people's kids in a hotel room while everyone else celebrated. When I found out, I didn't argue. Didn't make a scene. I just smiled, said okay, and began executing a plan that would teach my family a lesson they'd never forget about taking me for granted. On the wedding day, when my sister frantically called, looking for me and the 12 children I was supposed to be watching, I was on a beach 2 miles away with a margarita in my hand, watching the sunset. I texted her back, "Hope you enjoy the buffet." "I'm certainly enjoying mine. Don't wait for me, I won't be waiting for you either." By the time my family realized what I'd done, the wedding was in chaos, parents were furious, and I was already on a plane home with a first-class ticket I'd bought with money my parents sell. Thought was going toward my contribution to the wedding. Before I tell you how refusing to be the family servant destroyed my sister's perfect wedding and freed me from decades of being taken for granted, I need you to do something. If you've ever been voluntold to do something by family members who never considered your feelings, hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a comment with where you're watching from, and the worst thing your family expected you to do, without asking. Your stories validate mine. Now let me take you back to where this began. I'm the oldest of 3 daughters. My sister Isabel is 26, and my youngest sister Natalie is 23. The birth order established a hierarchy early. I was the responsible one, Isabel was the princess, and Natalie was the baby who could do no wrong. When Isabel wanted dance lessons, I was told to babysit Natalie, so Mom could take her. When Natalie wanted help with homework, I was expected to tutor her, instead of doing my own activities. When either of them had conflicts or needs, I was the one who adjusted, accommodated, made space. Elena's so mature, my parents would say, like maturity was something I'd chosen rather than something that had been forced on me by their unwillingness to parent 3 children equally. I put myself through college while working full-time. My parents paid for Isabel's tuition completely. When I pointed out the inequity, my father said, "You've always been self-sufficient. Isabel needs more support." I moved out at 22 and built a career in marketing. Worked my way up to senior account manager at a firm in Denver. Made good money, had my own apartment, lived independently. Meanwhile, Isabel still lived at home at 26, working part-time at a boutique while my parents covered her rent, car payment, and most expenses. Natalie was in graduate school, fully funded by our parents, living in an apartment they paid for. Every family gathering involved my parents asking me to help out with something. Pick up Natalie from the airport. Let Isabel borrow money for a shopping trip. Come home for weekends to help with house projects while my sisters did whatever they wanted. I helped because that's what family does. But the help was never reciprocated. It only went one direction, from me to them. 6 months ago, Isabel got engaged to Ryan, a finance guy from a wealthy family. The engagement was a spectacle. He proposed on a yacht with a photographer, a videographer, and both families present. The ring was massive. The celebration went on for days. My parents were ecstatic. Their daughter was marrying into money. This wedding would be the social event of the year. Isabel immediately went into full bridezilla mode. The wedding had to be perfect. Destination wedding, in Cabo. 200 guests. Multiple events over 4 days. Estimated cost, $150,000. My parents agreed to pay for half. Ryan's parents would cover the other half. It was decided without any input from me or Natalie. Though we were both expected to participate fully as bridesmaids, the demands started immediately. "Elena, I need you to come dress shopping with me, every weekend for the next month. Elena, can you help coordinate the bridesmaids? Make sure everyone gets fitted, sends their measurements, books their travel. Elena, I need you to plan my bachelorette party. Something amazing. Spare no expense." Every request was framed as a given, not an ask. Every demand came with the expectation that I'd drop everything to accommodate. I did what I'd always done. I helped. Spent my weekends driving 3 hours each way to go dress shopping. Spent my evenings coordinating bridesmaids across multiple time zones. Planned an elaborate bachelorette weekend in Nashville. That cost me $3,000 of my own money because Isabel wanted something memorable. I never got thanked. Just more requests. The Nashville trip was fun, but it would have been better if you'd booked the rooftop bar. Next time plan better. Next time. Like I was her event planner on retainer. 3 months before the wedding, the pressure intensified. Isabel had a meltdown about the hotel room block, so I spent 2 full days on the phone negotiating with the resort. She panicked about the seating chart, so I built a detailed spreadsheet organizing 200 guests by relationships and dynamics. Every crisis became my responsibility to solve. Every detail became something I needed to manage. My parents encouraged it. Elena's so good at this stuff. She's really stepping up for her sister. Stepping up. Like I'd volunteered rather than been conscripted. 2 months before the wedding, Isabel called with another request. Elena, we have a problem. 12 of our guests are bringing kids. Young kids, like toddlers to 8-year-olds. They'll be disruptive during the ceremony and reception. Okay, so what's the solution? Well, we were thinking someone could watch them. Keep them entertained in one of the hotel rooms during the events. That way the parents can enjoy the wedding without worrying about their kids. Red flags went up immediately. Are you hiring a professional childcare service? That's so expensive. We were hoping someone in the family could do it. Isabel, that's a huge ask. Someone would miss your entire wedding to watch other people's children. I know, but you're so good with kids. And you're not bringing a date anyway. So you won't miss out on the fun parts like dancing with a partner or anything. The audacity of that statement took my breath away. You want me to miss your wedding to babysit? Not the whole wedding. Just the ceremony and most of the reception. You could come for the last hour or so, after the kids are asleep. Isabel, I'm your sister. I'm a bridesmaid. I'm supposed to be in the ceremony. You'll be in the wedding photos before the ceremony. That's the important part anyway. I sat there, phone pressed to my ear, processing what she was asking. She wanted me to get dressed up, take photos, then disappear into a hotel room with 12 children while she got married and celebrated without me. I need to think about it. Elena, don't be difficult. This is my wedding. I need you to help me. I said I need to think about it. I hung up before she could push harder. That night, I barely slept. I kept replaying the conversation. The casual way she'd asked me to sacrifice my experience of her wedding. The assumption that, because I wasn't bringing a date, it didn't matter if I attended. The expectation that I'd just agree because I always agreed. The next morning, I called my mother. Did you know Isabel wants me to babysit during her wedding? Oh, honey, yes. We discussed it as a family. It's the perfect solution. Those parents need help, and you're so capable. As a family? I wasn't part of that discussion. We didn't want to bother you with it until we'd figured out the logistics. But yes, it makes sense. You're responsible, you're good with children, and honestly, Elena, you're not as invested in the social aspects of the wedding as some of the other guests. This way you're still contributing something valuable. Not as invested. Like my relationship with my sister mattered less than random guests' ability to party without their kids. Mom, I'm her sister. I should be at her wedding. You will be at her wedding, just in a different capacity, helping out like you always do. And if I say no? There was a long pause. Elena, don't be selfish. This is Isabel's special day. The family needs you to step up. Selfish. That's what I was if I didn't want to miss my sister's wedding to watch other people's children. I hung up without committing to anything. Over the next week, the pressure campaign began. Isabel called daily. Have you thought about the babysitting? I need to let the parents know there's childcare available. My father called. Your mother tells me you're being difficult about helping at the wedding. That's not like you, Elena. Natalie texted. Come on, just do this for Belle. It's one day. Even Isabel's maid of honor, her best friend since childhood, called me. Elena, I know it's a big ask, but Belle really needs this. Can't you just be a team player? A team player. Like I hadn't been playing on their team my entire life while they sat on the sidelines. I started doing calculations. The wedding was in 3 weeks. I'd already spent probably $5,000 total on this wedding. The bachelorette party, my bridesmaid dress, alterations, travel costs, accommodation, gifts. I'd used all my vacation time for wedding-related activities. I'd spent countless hours planning, coordinating, managing crises. And now they wanted me to literally miss the wedding I'd helped plan and fund. That's when I made my decision. I called Isabel back. I've thought about it. I'll do the babysitting. Oh, thank God. I knew you'd come through. You always do. Yeah, I always do. She missed the edge in my voice. Or maybe she just didn't care. The next 2 weeks, I played the part perfectly. Helped with final details. Confirmed I'd bring activities for the kids. Asked about what time I should have them in the room by. Acted like the dutiful older sister accepting her assigned role. Meanwhile, I was planning something else entirely. I booked a spa day at a different resort for the day of the wedding. Prepaid, non-refundable. I bought a first-class plane ticket home for that evening. Also, non-refundable. I drafted an email to send to my family at exactly the time the wedding ceremony started. And I prepared myself mentally for the fallout I knew was coming. 3 days before the wedding, we all flew to Cabo. The resort was beautiful. My parents and sisters were giddy with excitement. I smiled and played along. The night before the wedding there was a rehearsal dinner. I attended, played my role as bridesmaid, listened to speeches about how beautiful tomorrow would be. Isabel pulled me aside at one point. Thank you for agreeing to watch the kids tomorrow. I know it's a sacrifice, but it really means a lot. You're the best sister. I looked at her. My younger sister, radiant with excitement about her wedding day, completely oblivious to what she was asking of me. Or maybe not oblivious. Maybe just unconcerned. I hope your day is everything you've dreamed of, I said. She hugged me. It will be, thanks to you. That night, I barely slept. I kept thinking about backing out of my plan. About just doing what they asked. About being the good daughter, the helpful sister, the reliable one who always sacrificed. But then I thought about the email I'd drafted. About the words I'd written after decades of swallowing resentment. Dear family. By the time you read this, you'll have realized I'm not in the hotel room babysitting 12 children I never agreed to watch. I'm also not at the wedding I spent months helping to plan and thousands of dollars supporting. I'm at a spa, and then I'm on a plane home. For 29 years I've been the responsible one. The one who adjusts, accommodates, and accepts whatever role you assign me without complaint. The one who helps while my sisters are helped. The one who pays while my parents cover my sister's expenses. The one who sacrifices so everyone else can shine. I've never asked for equality. I've only asked for basic consideration. And when you decided without asking me that I should miss my own sister's wedding to babysit other people's children, you made it clear that consideration will never come. So I'm done waiting for it. I will no longer be the family babysitter, event planner, problem solver, or ADM. I will no longer accept assignments without being asked. I will no longer sacrifice my experiences, so yours can be better. This isn't about punishing Isabel on her wedding day. This is about teaching all of you that I'm a person whose time, money, and presence have value. Value you've taken for granted for decades. The 12 children you're currently panicking about? Their parents are adults who chose to bring them. They can watch their own kids. Ors. You can hire actual childcare like you should have from the beginning. I hope the wedding is beautiful. I hope Isabel is happy. But I won't be there to see it. Because you never actually wanted me there. You wanted a service I could provide. I'll be available for family relationships when they're reciprocal. Until then, I'm setting boundaries you should have respected all along. Elena, I read it one more time. Made sure I meant every word. Then I scheduled it to send at 2 p.m., right when the ceremony would be starting. The wedding day arrived. I got up early, put on casual clothes, and packed my suitcase. The wedding wasn't until 4 p.m., with photos starting at 2. I left my bridesmaid dress hanging in the closet. Left my makeup untouched. Left my phone on the nightstand set to airplane mode. At 9 a.m., I checked out of the hotel. The front desk looked confused. Checking out? But, isn't your sister's wedding today? It is, I'm not attending. I took a taxi to a different resort 15 miles down the beach. Checked in under my spa appointment. Spent the day getting massages, facials, sitting by an adult-only pool with a book and several cocktails. At 2 p.m. my scheduled emails sent. My phone was still on airplane mode, so I didn't see the immediate aftermath. I turned it back on at 5 p.m., when my plane was boarding. 347 text messages. 89 missed calls. 63 voicemails. I scrolled through them at random while waiting for takeoff. Mom. Elena, where are you, Mom? The wedding starts in an hour and you're not here, Mom. Those children have no one to watch them. Parents are furious. Dad, call me immediately. This is unacceptable. Isabel. Elena, answer your phone, Isabel. You're ruining my wedding, Isabel. How could you do this to me, Isabel? I will never forgive you, Natalie. What the hell, you? Parents are freaking out, Natalie. Belle is crying. This is so messed up. Various family members and bridesmaids. Similar themes of shock, anger, and disbelief. I read through them while feeling remarkably calm. Then, I turned my phone back to airplane mode and enjoyed my first-class flight home. I landed in Denver at 10 p.m. Mountain Time. Midnight in Cabo got ice. The wedding would be over. The damage would be done. I turned my phone back on. 200 more messages. I read selectively this time, looking for the narrative of what had happened. Apparently chaos. When I didn't show up for photos at 2 p.m., my family initially thought I was running late. When I didn't answer calls or texts, they got worried. When my email arrived right as the ceremony was starting, worried turned to panic. The 12 children whose parents thought they had childcare suddenly didn't. Some parents chose to leave. Others tried to keep their kids quiet during the ceremony with limited success. A toddler apparently screamed through half the vows. A 6-year-old threw up on the aisle runner. The ceremony still happened, but it was tense and disrupted. The reception was worse. Parents who'd stayed were exhausted from managing kids. Parents who'd left were furious they'd missed the wedding. Other guests were uncomfortable with the chaos. Isabel spent half her reception crying in the bathroom. My parents spent it trying to do damage control. The wedding that was supposed to be perfect was, according to multiple witnesses, a disaster. I felt a twinge of guilt. Not for refusing to babysit, that was my boundary to set. But for the timing. For letting it blow up on Isabel's wedding day rather than refusing up front. Then I remembered. I had refused. Multiple times. I'd said I needed to think about it. I'd expressed concerns. I'd been dismissed, pressured, and ultimately just expected to comply. They'd created this situation. I'd just stopped enabling it. The next morning, I woke up in my own apartment. Made coffee. Went for a run. Lived my normal life. My phone was still exploding. I ignored it. 3 days later, my parents showed up at my apartment. I saw them through the security camera and let them in. They looked exhausted. My mother had clearly been crying. "How could you?" she said immediately. "How could you do that to your sister?" I set a boundary you refused to respect. By ruining her wedding? That was your solution? I didn't ruin her wedding. You did when you decided I should miss it to provide free childcare. My father stepped in. "Elena, you're an adult. When family needs help, you help. You don't throw a tantrum and abandon everyone." I didn't throw a tantrum. I made a choice about how I spend my time. The same way you've all been making choices about how I spend mine without consulting me. This is different. How? How is it different? You've been volunteering me to do things my entire life. You pay for Isabel and Natalie's lives while I fund my own. You expect me to sacrifice while they're accommodated. When does it end? My mother sat down heavily. "We've always appreciated your help. You've taken it for granted. There's a difference. So you punished Isabel? On her wedding day, I set a boundary. If that felt like punishment, it's because you're used to me having none." The conversation went in circles for an hour. They wanted me to apologize. I refused. They wanted me to explain how I could be so selfish. I wanted them to explain how they could be so entitled to my time and labor. We got nowhere. They left angry. I stayed relieved. The fallout continued for weeks. My sisters wouldn't speak to me. My parents sent alternating messages of anger and emotional manipulation. "Your sister's marriage is starting out under a cloud because of you. Family photos are ruined because you weren't there. Everyone's talking about what you did. You've embarrassed us." Extended family members called, some to yell at me, a few to quietly say they understood. My Aunt Maria, my mother's sister, called 2 weeks later. "Elena, I know everyone's mad at you, but I have to tell you something. I've watched you be taken advantage of your whole life. What you did took courage. Maybe your timing wasn't perfect, but your point was valid. Thank you for saying that. Your parents did you a disservice by treating your sisters differently. And your sisters did themselves a disservice by never learning to manage without you. This might be the wake-up call they all needed. Maybe. Or maybe they'd just stay mad forever, and nothing would change except now I wasn't invited to family events. I could live with that. A month after the wedding, Isabel finally called. I don't know if I can forgive you. I understand. My wedding was supposed to be perfect. It was a disaster. People still talk about it. I'm sorry the wedding didn't go as planned. But Isabel, I'm not sorry for setting a boundary. You could have just said no. I did say no. Multiple times. I said I needed to think about it. I expressed concerns. But you, Mom, Dad, everyone, you all just pressured me until you assumed I'd agree because I always do. So you let us all think you'd do it and then just didn't show up. That's cruel. Maybe. But expecting me to miss your wedding without considering my feelings was also cruel. I just responded to cruelty with boundaries. She was quiet for a long time. Ryan thinks I was wrong. He thinks Mom and Dad were wrong. He says if someone had asked him to miss our wedding to babysit, he'd have said hell no. Ryan's right. But you're my sister. You're supposed to be there for me. I am there for you. I was there for you for months. I planned your bachelorette party. Wall. I coordinated your bridesmaids. I managed your crises. I showed up for you repeatedly. Until you asked me to show up in a way that required me to disappear. More silence. I don't know how to fix this, she said finally. Maybe you can't. Maybe the relationship we had was always unbalanced and we're just now seeing it clearly. That's sad. It is. But sad doesn't mean wrong. We hung up without resolution. 3 months after the wedding, things had stabilized into a new normal. My sisters and I were cordial but distant. My parents and I talked occasionally, stiffly. Family gatherings happened without me, which was fine. I was lonely sometimes. But I was also free. Free from expectations I didn't agree to. Free from obligations that were one-directional. Free from being taken for granted. I started therapy to process years of family dynamics I'd accepted as normal. My therapist helped me see patterns I'd been too close to recognize. You were parentified, she explained. Expected to take on adult responsibilities as a child to make your parents' lives easier. That's a form of neglect. Hearing that was both validating and painful. Your family structured themselves around your willingness to sacrifice. When you stopped sacrificing, the structure collapsed. That's not your fault. That's their failure to build something sustainable. I worked through a lot in those sessions. Guilt about the wedding. Anger about my childhood. Grief about relationships that might be permanently damaged. But also hope. Hope that I could build a life where people valued me for who I was, not what I provided. 6 months after the wedding, I got an unexpected message. From Natalie. Can we talk? Just us? We met for coffee in Denver. She flew out specifically for this conversation. I've been thinking a lot about what happened, she said. About why you did what you did. And I think I get it now. Yeah? I graduated last month. Started looking for jobs. Dad offered to support me while I searched like he did for Belle. And I realized, he never offered you that. You've been on your own since college while Belle and Dave. I had safety nets. I noticed that. And then Mom asked if you could help me with my resume and job search. Just ask, like obviously you would. And I said no. I looked at her in surprise. I said no because I realized we've been using you your whole life, taking your help without offering anything back. And I don't want to be that person anymore. She started crying. I'm sorry, Elena. I'm sorry for the wedding, but I'm more sorry for everything before it. For expecting you to tutor me, help me, fund me. For never asking what you needed. For being part of a family dynamic that treated you like the help. I reached across the table and took her hand. Thank you for saying that. It means more than you know. Are we okay? Can we rebuild this? I think so. But it has to be different, reciprocal, equal. I want that. I'll work on it. I promise. We talked for 3 hours. Really talked, maybe for the first time. About her childhood, my childhood, our parents' different treatment. About the wedding. About the future. It wasn't fixed. But it was a start. Isabel took longer. A year after the wedding, she called on my birthday. Happy birthday. Thanks. I've been in therapy, talking about family stuff. The wedding came up a lot. I bet my therapist helped me see some things. About how I treated you. How we all treated you. I don't think I understood until I got married and had to manage my own life without expecting you to fix everything. How's that going? It's hard. I never learned to solve my own problems because you always did it for me. Ryan's been patient, but he's also been clear that he's my partner, not my personal assistant. Good for Ryan. Elena, I'm sorry. Really sorry. Not just for the wedding, though that was awful of me. Sorry for everything. For taking advantage. For expecting you to sacrifice. For never appreciating what you did. I felt tears in my eyes. Thank you. I'm sorry, too. For how it all exploded. For ruining your wedding day. You didn't ruin it. The situation ruined it. The situation we all created by treating you like family staff instead of family. We talked for an hour. Made tentative plans to see each other. Acknowledged it would take time to rebuild trust. But we were both willing to try. My parents took the longest. 2 years after the wedding, they finally acknowledged their role. We treated you unfairly, my father said during a stiff family dinner. We had different expectations for you than for your sisters. That wasn't right. We thought we were teaching you to be responsible, my mother added. But we were actually just taking advantage of your good nature. It wasn't a perfect apology. But it was acknowledgement. And that was something. We're still working on it. All of us. Family therapy helped. Individual conversations helped more. But mostly, time and new boundaries helped. I'm not the family problem solver anymore. When someone has a crisis, they handle it or ask for help respectfully. When someone needs money, they ask, not assume. When someone wants me to attend something, they consider my schedule and needs. It's not perfect. Old patterns resurface sometimes. But now we all catch them and correct course. Last month, Isabel asked if I'd be godmother to her baby. She's 4 months pregnant. I want you to be part of my daughter's life, she said. Not as free childcare. As her aunt who loves her. I'll hire babysitters. But I want you there for the important moments because you matter, not because you're useful. I cried when she said that. Yes. I'd love to be her godmother. Things aren't back to how they were. They're better. Because how they were wasn't actually good for anyone, especially not for me. I learned something important from refusing to babysit at that wedding. I learned that people will take as much as you're willing to give, even if it's more than you have. That family love should be demonstrated through consideration, not obligation. That setting boundaries doesn't make you selfish. It makes you self-aware. And I learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for people who take you for granted is stop letting them. Because being taken for granted hurts everyone, the person being used and the people doing the using. Your family's needs are not more important than your boundaries. Your time is not less valuable because you're single, capable, or historically helpful. And when people plan your life without asking you, the only appropriate response is to plan your own life without asking them. If you made it this far, you understand what it's like to be voluntold to sacrifice. Hit that subscribe button for more stories about people who said no to family entitlement. Drop a comment about the moment you stopped being everyone's solution. Your boundaries matter. Hit like if you believe helping family should be a choice, not an expectation. And share this with someone who needs to hear that disappointing your family is better than disappearing yourself. Remember that people who call you selfish for having boundaries are usually the ones who've been selfishly using you for years. And sometimes the best wedding gift you can give yourself is permission to not attend. Until next time, this is Elena, reminding you that I don't regret missing my sister's wedding. I regret all the years before it when I showed up for everyone except myself.